Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of Coloring Outside the Box. And today the key word is celebrate. I'm going to let that sink in for a second. And before I go any further, I want you to think about one thing in your life, in this time, in this moment, that makes you feel like you want to celebrate. It could be a smile from someone, a funny video, a memory from the past. Now, as much as right now we're in the middle of a big shift in human consciousness and in our external world, we might want to think that the past is something that's gone forever. However, it's never really gone forever simply because our life experiences, which are part of our past, really are, I really wish my brain and my mouth would get it together. Anyways, our life experiences form who we are, or at least give us an opportunity to show who we are. And so the past is never completely dead. And when we look back and we seek things that make us laugh or give us joy or bring a smile to our faces, in this period of time, especially since the sun is in Cancer, a little bit of nostalgia is not only fine, but it may be a little bit called for. And I don't mean the kind of nostalgia that says, I wish things were the way they used to be. It's more a case of remembering times and places where we found out something about ourselves, experienced ourselves in ways that brought us a sense of connection and a sense of joy. Now, the sign of Cancer really is can be a lot about the past, about family, and about nostalgia. And so at this time of the year, it's not unusual for us to, find ourselves thinking or feeling things from the past. And so I'm going to suggest that, should you decide to do this, if you haven't been doing it already, is to pick a memory from your past and just sit with it. Now, I can't tell you what kind of memory to pick, but I might suggest that since the topic today is celebration or celebrate, that you might find something from your past that lifts your heart and inspires you. Because sometimes when we're in a space and a place where we're thinking, oh, I wish things could be the way that they used to be, we're not always sure what we think about that. I don't know about you, but when I think back to my adolescence, that's not a period of my life I'd like to repeat. So thinking about the past isn't about figuring out how to repeat those things. It's more about culling aspects of yourself that bring you joy, that bring you satisfaction, that bring you a sense of confidence or pride in who you are. Because, right now, as it appears that life continues to be a challenge because of all the incoming data we're getting, it's important to take time to acknowledge that life does have and does offer those moments and spaces and places where our heart is uplifted, where we feel joy in just being able to be wherever it is we are. Now that didn't come out really well. Yeah, my brain and my mouth, yeah. Already lamented that, won't do it again. Anyway, as you can tell, I'm in a bit of a quirky place this week. kind of floating back and forth between serious thought and the desire to sort of just dance around the room. And sometimes we can get overladen or overburdened with reality. Now, I'm not suggesting that you run away from reality. However, we as humans have a tendency to focus our attention on the parts of our reality that we think are not working in this 10 seconds or this 10 hours or this 10 days or this 10 weeks or this 10 months or I hesitate to say 10 years. And it can be hard to just take a moment to just, I like to use the expression, and I learned this from a friend, Adam Gainsbourg, drop into your heart. Thank you, Adam, for the work I did with you and for that image and that feeling. So you might want to look up Adam's work at soulsign.com. I think that's right. Or you can input his name and find out more about him. It can be hard to get out of our heads, out of our logical, rational brains, and just be in the moment. Because sometimes our brain just doesn't want us to do that, especially if we have challenges on our plate. Challenges about, what's going to happen to us in the future in terms of our work, in terms of our finances, in terms of just feeling like life isn't taking a ball-peen hammer and whacking us over and over again. So if you're feeling like that, just remember that somewhere in your heart is a sense of joy, a sense of inspiration, a sense of hope. And right now, depending on which minute or two you're talking about, because I don't know about you, but I've been living on a roller coaster up and down, energized 1 minute, next minute going, oh, what's my name? Where do I live? What's happening? And I'd be surprised if everybody else is not asking themselves those same questions. Maybe not the exact same questions, but questions about what is this all about? Apparently, there aren't any answers right now. I read somewhere yesterday that next year will provide us with some answers about what this was all about. And I think that spending time trying to figure out what it's all about doesn't necessarily move us forward. We humans get really excited about the process of categorizing, identifying, measuring, analyzing, and sometimes as a way to avoid uncertainty, insecurity, and downright fear. So if you connect your heart chakra and ask yourself, what is one thing that you truly love? And I know most of us are going to begin with something outside ourselves, something in our physical world. And that's fine. But as you identify that, could you just take 10 seconds and okay, again, I'm using the word try. And as said in previous episodes of Coloring Outside the Box, I had a spiritual mentor who indicated that the word try directly links to, well, I hate to use the word failure, but it not working. You're already getting ready for it not to work. And when it comes to acknowledging what you love, that's definitely going to work. And as you do that, see how much resistance you get from yourself about doing that, especially if you work to connect what it is you love outside yourself to something deep within you. Because what we love outside ourselves says something about who we are. And not who we are in reference to anybody else, but just who we are in reference to ourselves. Now, that might seem counterintuitive or even counterproductive in a time when there may be many problems for us all to solve. However, the most important thing you can do is uplift yourself, is acknowledge yourself, because after all, whatever solutions we find for whatever's facing us right now are going to come from within us. So strengthening our core, strengthening who we are, will only make it easier to move forward. And I'm not talking about staring at your navel. Because, we can spend a lot of time, sifting and sorting and, again, that whole analyzing thing, thinking that somehow that's going to illuminate something. I'm asking you to feel. And if you feel resistance, that's part of the process. Honor your own process, honor your own experience. And so, it's funny when the word celebrate came up, I did a double take internally and thought, okay, well, so how does that work? And then I realized that celebration, we often think of celebration in terms of big things, not in terms of, I cooked a lovely meal and I feel really happy about that. That's a celebration. Any ritual that you perform on a daily basis, whether it's going for a walk or going out and watering your flowers or cooking a meal or meditating or finding something to laugh at, those rituals are a form of celebration. Because it's important that we remember how to celebrate being alive. And I don't mean breathing, I mean alive, like, recharging our batteries, looking for our passion, for our vitality, because that's what keeps our motors running. And maybe the reason I'm talking about this, just a little astrology, is because Mars just moved into Aries and it's in its happy place. And so we're going to want to go out and initiate something or just feel alive, do something that makes us feel alive, so that we don't sit around, moving around all the beans in our lives that tell us what's not right, what's not working, what's not normal. Because right now, a lot of things are not normal. A lot of things that used to work don't work. And constantly parsing those things over and over again doesn't make us feel any better. And actually, it robs us of energy. And right now, it's really important that you find ways to encourage your positive, for heaven's sakes, encourage optimism was what I was looking for, apparently. Because it's those moments of optimism and hope that recharge our batteries. So take a moment and just think about the word celebrate in the context of your everyday life. And realize that finding joy or being able to celebrate the rituals in your life that bring, for heaven's sakes, bring joy, I guess. I don't know. Apparently I wanted a different word and it isn't showing up. Gives you the fuel to deal with whatever is in front of you. So this week is going to be a somewhat shorter podcast than normal because, you know, I don't want to turn this podcast into a form of a ball peen hammer. I rather it was an invitation. So if you're inclined, please take a moment to look at the things in your life. I know I asked you to find one thing. Now I'm going to suggest that you find several other things that bring you joy. I know right now going out into my backyard and looking at my flowers and brings me a lot of joy. Doing this podcast brings me a lot of joy in spite of my need for it to be perfect. Something I'm trying really hard to give up on. That, yeah. Let it go. Anyways, now that I have found my way to the end of this podcast, I want to thank you as always for joining me and wishing you much love and much joy and much celebration. Take care. Talk soon. Much love. Bye-bye. I'm not happy about this because I'm afraid I did not see the glare. I'm hoping